She's a best-selling author, a literary agent, and a publisher who has curated thousands of query letters and projects. As experienced editors, Deborah Herman and her team of professionals have seen every possible mistake a fiction writer can make. In fact, she's identified 7 mistakes that make all the difference between a compelling novel and a dud. Deborah, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be doing this. I think it's very helpful for writers, and let's talk about writing and these mistakes.
All right, well, first question, Deborah. Fiction writers hear all the time they should be descriptive in their writing. But you say giving too many details is actually one of the biggest mistakes they can make. So how do they get it right? How do they strike the balance?
They need to understand that anything you put in a novel needs to belong there for a purpose. Anything you put in needs to move your story along. Sometimes because people want to be flowery, they want to be impressive, they are trying too hard and they're putting in details that ultimately are extraneous. It's very difficult for a writer to be objective about what it is that they're keeping in and what it is they're leaving out. But one of the ways to think about it is if you have a detail of someone eating lunch, for example. I see people trying to recreate reality by these little details with linear time, like, well, we went out to lunch and this is what this one had, this one had. And it's this sense, and it's very typical, but it's a sense that we're creating reality by exactly showing what these people are doing. But think of it this way. If you're showing somebody eating a hamburger, you want that detail to perhaps reflect on who that person is or who that character is. If they're eating a hamburger, they live in California, they only eat hamburgers with lots of, unhealthy things, they don't eat vegetables, that's kind of a juxtaposition that can become a detail that builds out your character. But if it's just that these people go to a restaurant and eat a burger and then it has nothing to do with the action or the scene or the character, it's an extraneous detail. And that's a challenge that even experienced writers face and often do not get it right. People think more is better, and it's not. So that's why we look very carefully to see what kinds of details should be included and should be left out. That's one of the first things we look at.
If writers want to know more about the rest of the 7 mistakes and whether or not they're making them, what should they do?
To know more about them and our program for how we can help people improve their work, to know whether their work is good enough, and to find some of these very difficult to determine mistakes in your own writing, you want professional eyeballs on your work. And so what you can do is you can go to assessmybook.com. We've created a program for you where we can tell you what is it that is keeping you stuck. What is it that's making your book less compelling than someone else's novel? And it's as simple as that.
Deborah, thank you so much for joining us.